Do you agree in the last lesson I skipped over what PE ratio is? Yep. Why? Because you actually do the maths of what PE ratio is in this exercise. So what is the PE ratio? It's a comparison between the current price of a company's shares and how much profit the company makes. Notice that that's in black, okay? I don't need you to get that down because the only way that you need to deal with PE ratio is look at the PE ratio number, look at this table, and just tell me what it says. That's all you need. You don't need all this interpretation up here, but I teach it because I want to teach in full, okay? For our purposes, the only interpretation you need to do is read or calculate the PE ratio for a company, then say what the table below says about the meaning of that PE ratio. So if there's no PE ratio listed, it means the company made no money that year. If it's 0 to 10, the company is probably undervalued or the earnings are predicted to go down. 10 to 20, company might be reasonable. 20 to 30, overvalued. So it's like FOMO. People are saying it's probably worth more than it really should be. Or the earnings have decreased since the last annual earnings figures was reported. And lastly, if it's 30 or above, the company has either really good growth prospects or people love the idea of it, okay? So if you could get a version of this, you can cut down those sentences, but that could go on your cheat sheet. And if you calculate any of these PE ratio ranges, you just say what that sentence says, okay? So I'll give you time to get that. The only extra note that you need to add is you're only allowed to compare PE ratios between companies that are similar industries. So if I've got a PE ratio of Coles versus Woolworths, are they similar industries? So it's fair to compare them. But if I've got a PE ratio of Coles and BHP, which is mining, the comparison doesn't mean anything, okay? So just get down what you need of that, shortened versions of each of these sentences, and the note about you can only compare PE ratios when they're similar industry. The maths comes next. That table's also in your little textbook booklet, but I'm giving you a shot to get it now to chuck in your cheat sheets. Notice we haven't really done any maths yet. You can see that coming soon. What's annoying?
These like big holes in the book.
It's a public school, just do anything to save money.
Yeah.
I'm going to save like 3 cents by having slightly less paper. Just use your book however you want. I've got more anyway, okay? Do you guys get cheat sheets in Germany?
No.
You have a test and you can write whatever you want. That's what I say to the kids that come from Germany and Japan. Like, did you come here to learn anything? We're like 3 years behind you. You guys make Mercedes, Audi, Porsche. What do we make? We sell mangoes. We used to make cars. Commodore and Holden. If they were any good, they would still exist. Make sure that's on freaking YouTube, yeah? Why is our country like sort of well off? We have a lot of minerals, and it doesn't take that much brain power to dig them out of the ground.
Every time I say mom, I'm cheating. What? You're cheating?
No, you're allowed to. What?
No, we're allowed.
No, legit. Like, okay, so I personally think that your subject's easier because you've got one less DI. Because why does that make the subject harder? Because normally, at the end of shares, when you're getting ready for the test, you're also doing an assignment. See? That's a pressure off. Also, they removed the requirement for no notes, no calculator. So all of your tests this year will have notes and a... Yeah, no notes and a calculator. There used to be one, okay? But that seems like savage, but essential math, they don't have to do an assignment anymore. So everyone's telling me, because I lived through SACE in 2003, that's when I graduated. They're like, oh, SACE is just as hard. No, it's not. No, it's not. The exam used to be worth 70%, now it's 30%. Just get that first rectangle down at the top. If you've already got that, you can start getting the two formula that I'll teach you about. Earnings per share is profit for ordinary shareholders divided by number of ordinary shareholders. P ratio, share price over earnings per share. Yep.
I can't already write the bottom line down.
That's fine. Good. That's all you need, and then I'll show you.
And could I just continue with the other stuff all the way? The earlier questions?
Yes.
I actually have a question.
Yep.
Yeah, looking at here, is that supposed to be, is that a separate company or are they the same? A1 Mineral Ops, oh wait.
They're separate because they've got two different products.
Okay.
All right, there's a bit of chat, so I might as well finish this lesson off. Hopefully you have this table or something similar to it. Now we actually do maths, because all I've been telling you is if I get a P ratio between 0 and 10, I spit this out in the test. What does it mean? Now, how do we actually work out the P ratio? To actually calculate the P ratio, you need to use these two formulas in succession. Earnings per share is equal to the profit for ordinary shareholders divided by the number of ordinary shareholders. And the P ratio is the share price divided by the earnings per share. A minute or two to get those two formulas down. It's a bit moppy. It's quite long. Looks like it'd be good for cleaning floors. Get into the corners. You know?
So do you still have the PS3?
Yeah. It's just there. It's just there. What are you asking? I've read that version of FIFA is the best. FIFA.
What one is that again?
17.
Yeah.
Aren't they pretty much the same?
Yeah, but after that, they started having like DLC and like FIFA Ultimate Team and everything. That is just, the full game is on the disc. And it had the best teams as well, like when Barcelona was like big.
Transactions.
When you had, was that when Real Madrid was like Ronaldo versus like Barcelona, Messi and everything?
Yeah, and also like the games nowadays are so like a lot of flaws and different complaints.
Yeah. Okay, I'll scroll down enough so you can get the example down. BHP. Last example. BHP is an Aussie mining company. They made a net profit of $36.5 million for ordinary shareholders, and they're split into 73 million ordinary shares. What's the PE ratio if the current share price is $8? Interpret the meaning of the PE ratio of BHP at this time using that table. So this is an example question for using that formula. Can you get this example down, please? So normally I don't ask you to get the questions down, which is what you're going to do when you're working from the book. But is this example going to be useful to you if you don't know what the question was in the first place? So I'm going to copy it. I'll leave that there. Working out in purple. I won't do that yet. I know you're copying the example. Now let's see how this works. I'll keep it on the screen here so you can see. You've just been given these two formula. The question is asking for the PE ratio. So I want to use this. So I know the price. I know it's $8. Do I know the earnings per share yet? Do I have a formula to work out the earnings per share? So we put that information to earnings per share. So equals the profit that BHP is making, 36.5 million, so 36,500,000, divided by the number of shareholders, which is 73 million. Get the calculator out, 36,500,000 divided by 0.5. 50 cents per share in profit. So the PE ratio is going to be, what is the price of BHP shares currently? $8 divided by the earnings per share, 0.5. How many halves fit into 8? 16. So the PE ratio of BHP, according to that information, using those two formulas, is 16. B, interpret the meaning of the PE ratio of BHP at this time. I don't want to scroll up to that table I asked you to copy down, but which range does the PE ratio of 16 fall within? Yes? Reasonable value. PE ratio of 16 indicates reasonable value. C, now we're talking about Woolies. Can I work out the PE ratio of Woolies straight away? Do I need to work out something first? EPS. I need to work out the earnings per share first. So it's 86 million over 400 million. So Woolies is split up among many people. Divided by 400 million. 0.215. 21.5 cents earnings per share. PE ratio is equal to the price. What is Woolies? Woolies is $3.44 over 0.215. Can't do that in my head. 16. Oh, I might have set that up perfectly. Part 2. Is that the same PE ratio as before? So it's a reasonable value? Is it reasonable to compare those PE ratios? Are they from the same industry? No. Not them. So it's not reasonable to compare them because we're comparing a supermarket versus a mining company. Okay?